Hey friends! It is a gorgeous Saturday outside and I just rode about 25 minutes to this beautiful creek. Welcome back! Let me give you a couple life updates. I recently moved. David and I purchased a condo and we are so excited to begin this new journey together. Many of you know that I used to pretty much live in a bedroom. My office, my workout space, my sleeping space, my TV space was all like clumped up into one little space. So I'm very excited to be able to have different rooms and compartments to do my different activities during the day. One of my favorite rooms in the house is the gym room. I'm also really excited about my office space. I feel like it helps me focus a little better and I like the motivation that I have placed on the walls. So apart from our big move, this is the first time that I voted in the United States and I could not have been more proud to make my voice heard. So today, what I wanted to talk to you all about is securing funding for your PhD. I was very grateful that Dr. Manu Platt, who leads a lot of diversity initiatives at Georgia Tech for the Biomedical Engineering Department, nominated me for certain fellowships and scholarships. And I was fortunate enough to be selected for two of them, the Georgia Tech's President's Fellowship and the Laney Graduate School, which is on Emory's side, their Taniel Scholarship. When you become a graduate student, or even before you become a graduate student, that you put yourself out there and apply for fellowships on your own as well. Why? Why should we apply for fellowships? Why not just accept the stipend from your lab or whatever lab you get into? My number one answer: who doesn't like more money? I applied to about 4 or 5 different fellowship opportunities since I started my PhD. And luckily, I was awarded 2 of them, the NSF as well as the Georgia Tech Sloan Fellowship. These 2 fellowships really gave my salary a big boost. PhD students live off of a stipend, which is paid through their lab. However, having more money is always great because it allows you to have more disposable income. So whether you want to get a fancier apartment, purchase a vehicle, pay off some of your student loan debt, it really allows you to do these things and not have to struggle too much. Secondly, you all saw my first video and you saw how much difficulty I had in securing a lab because many labs did not have the funding through grants to be able to support me. So I spent a long time trying to go through all these different professors to figure out who has funding to support me. And what that did was it limited what research labs I could actually be a part of. Advisors are more willing to take risks with your research project and be a little more exploratory when they know their students come with their own funding. If they don't come with their own funding, they will take a safer route or simply have the student work on research that is really geared towards the grants that they have, which is paying the student. So, how do we get started? The first step is to start early, right? Come up with an action plan. Which fellowships are you interested in applying for? Come up with about 4 or 5, list their deadlines, and know how much time you have to work with. Then you need to secure some referrals or recommendation letters, some strong ones. So they would need enough time to be able to adhere to your fellowship deadlines as well. I know that there are a couple of fellowship workshops that are designed to help you better your essays and your research goals for the applications. So I would advise that you attend at least 1 or 2 of them. There's an NSF workshop offered over at Emory each year in the fall. Lastly, please don't think that you're going to start writing these personal statements and research proposals and it's only going to take you one go. These things take numerous edits, right? You're going to probably have about 10 different drafts, if not more. and it's only for the betterment of your essay and your application. While I'm not an expert in securing fellowships, I have assisted other students write their fellowship applications, and I have been pretty successful with my own applications. So I'm not going to give you all the details that are probably already provided on the fellowship's website for what points you need to touch, etc. But what I want to highlight here are some basic things to probably avoid or include in your essays to give you a standing chance at being awarded one of these fellowships. All right, so I've prepared some slides to discuss writing basics that will come in handy, hopefully, when preparing your application to secure your funding. Step 1. The opening. The opening of your statement of purpose has to stand out. You want to capture the reviewer's attention, possibly throw in an interesting narrative, and then use this narrative to now motivate your story. When you're writing, you need to be bold and confident in your words. Show that you're an action person. Imagine that your essay is the reviewer's 250th essay for the night. Could you imagine that? Reviewers review hundreds and hundreds of applications, and you need to make sure that you put all the substance in there that stands out and makes you worthy of receiving this fellowship. So I have an example here of a narrative. So let's dive right in. I can vividly recall the nervousness in my stomach while observing an orthopedic surgical team aggressively hack away and dismantle the degraded artificial hip prosthesis that was implanted in the patient's pelvic region. Now you see that this narrative is interesting, and if I was a reviewer and this was my 250th paper, I'm least likely to just skim over the details. I'm already drawn in. Secondly, you want to bold important points. I know for the NSF fellowship, they require you to discuss things like broader impact and intellectual merit. So you want to make sure that these items are bolded so that the reviewer can directly target where these requirements are fulfilled in your essay. So again, here I have bolded broader impact so that when the reviewer is writing their report, they can just easily go back to the sentence because they know that this is where broader impact stuff is located. Thirdly, you want to highlight that you will fulfill a broader purpose. So not all fellowship applications require you to discuss broader impacts, but it's actually pretty clever if you include broader impacts in all of your applications for fellowships, whether it be community outreach, mentoring, or teaching and inspiring others. Here's an example of expressing fulfillment of broader purpose. These momentous opportunities strengthened my joy for teaching and the drive towards becoming a professor in engineering. Furthermore, I want to use this career to encourage minorities to pursue STEM-related fields and fulfill their own career goals. So we see that this statement has very active language. This is what I want to do. I want to drive to become a professor. But then additionally, I want to use this career to now encourage minorities, right? So show that your overall career goals don't just impact yourself, but the broader world at large. Number 4, highlight your intellectual merit. All right, so of course you're going to have coursework that's relevant to your research. Include those things. Your degrees, right? Even if you self-taught yourself for certain topics, so maybe you use YouTube, maybe you read a book, maybe you just did a lot of research on your own and pulled together from different resources, and now you're a master in this field. You want to mention these things. Make sure that they know what your intellectual merit is and why you are worthy of receiving this money to pursue this research. Number 5, you want to highlight your leadership positions. All right, so you want to also discuss how your leadership positions impacted the overall goal of whatever initiative you were a part of. Who did you communicate with to fulfill these goals? What connections did you make? So here's an example. Making presentations at weekly group meetings, analyzing human data sets, lending assistance in other group research projects, and organizing and presenting findings at the annual open house event were just a few of the myriad things which led to my appointment as a leader on a collaborative project with a physical therapist. So you see how you tie in all these activities, what you did to what your leadership role is. That's kind of like the direction you probably want to head it. Number 6, include presentations and any authorship that you may have. Whether you're a first author or the last author of any publications, include that. If you did not publish any papers, however, you've written manuscripts and technical papers, these are good avenues to take advantage of and include in your statement of purpose. If you've traveled or had any video conference presentations or poster presentations, these are vital sources of information that make you a stronger candidate. Number 7, have a purposeful decision flow. And when I'm talking about decision flow, meaning what decisions did you make throughout your career journey to allow you to reach where you are currently? Did you take action to perhaps pursue a certain degree, coursework, make connections with certain people? Like what plan or how did your trajectory go to lead you to where you are today? So show that your journey consisted of well-processed decisions. What motivated you to do this type of work? If for some reason you switch pathways, career paths, explain what motivated it. You don't want to just say, oh, well, it didn't work out with my degree. I failed these courses, so I just went an easier one. Now I'm here doing chemistry. It didn't work out, so I switched to bio because it seemed relatively okay. No, right? You want to show that you really thought through these things and show that your decision-making skills are sound. All right. So yeah, what opportunities did you engage in? Who did you have to network with? What courses or degrees you think were necessary to allow you to reach where you are today, applying for this fellowship to now pursue this higher education? Number 8, dig deep. A lot of applicants just put surface level sentences with no further explanation as to why I should care. All right, so dig deeper, express why each statement is important. Highlight the skills that you gain. So draw the statements back to you and just highlight you all the way. And then something that people don't really do is express how did you contribute to improving research or developing scientific knowledge. So just saying that you attended this conference isn't enough. We need to know, what did you contribute to science? What did you do at the conference? Did you make connections? Were you able to hire a mentee? Dig a little deeper and really tell this story. Number 9, show that you have solid future career goals. What are your future career goals? Be very direct and concise. How will this career now have a broader impact? Broader impact is always good. Here's an example. My long-term career goal is to become an engineering professor, contributing to translational scientific research and academia. In particular, I am inspired to investigate how evolving technology can be applied to improving assistive rehabilitation devices to fulfill the broader impact of improving the quality of life of injured veterans, the elderly, physically challenged, and neurologically disabled populations. So you see, this kind of gives you a whole picture of what do you want to do, an engineering professor. What kind of area you're looking to get into? Translational scientific research. Now, what inspired you? This evolving technology, right? So this is what I want to use. Then, who is going to benefit from this? So you now mention your broader impact, and then you discuss what populations are going to perhaps be beneficial. So this also shows you how deep you need to dig, but at the same time, you want to be very direct and concise. Number 10, iterate, iterate, iterate. You cannot, and I hope you will not, just sit down, write an essay, and submit your first draft. It is so important that you do multiple iterations, have some friends or co-workers look over your work for spelling errors, grammatical errors, for flow. Here's an example of a student's first iteration of a sentence. Growing up, my interest in We Move was emerged from my love for swimming, and my attraction to neuroscience and engineering really grew watching sci-fi and other animations where characters had prosthetics and or other enhancements to aid to their movement or to aid to their rehabilitation. Whew, finally, I get a breath. That was a very long sentence, right? Midway, I was a little confused as well. As you can tell, there are a couple spelling errors, missing words, poor sentence structure, punctuation, grammatical errors, right? And honestly, looking back, did you gain any depth from that statement? After a couple iterations, this is what the student came up with. This is the 5th iteration. During middle school, my interests in how individuals move emerged from my love for swimming. It always fascinated me how swimmers adapted their coordination to perform different swim strokes, namely butterfly, backstroke, breaststroke, or freestyle. The question of how we as humans can use different control strategies to complete complex tasks play heavily in my mind. My attraction to neuroscience and engineering grew further through watching sci-fi and other animations where characters were fitted with prosthetics or orthotic devices that aided their movement. So we see here we have a nice little narrative. This person loves swimming, watching the swimmers. We have a description. You could almost picture these motions and then kind of like dive yourself into why this person is passionate about this type of research. Here is another example about why we need to iterate, right? First iteration, example from a student. I am co-advised by Dr. A and Dr. B, who both research neuromechanics and gait on human subjects who are experiencing motor control difficulty due to different neurological diseases. So the issue here is that the sentence seems a little disjointed, right? I'm not sure what to focus on. Is it the co-advisement? Is it the neuromechanics? Is it, what is it, right? I need a little more depth, right? Why is this co-advisement important? How does it relate to the applicant's journey in any way, right? So there's also an opportunity for bolding, right? If you want something to stand out, you need to point to it. These people are reading hundreds of essays and they just want to grab the main point so they could write their report and say, yes, this is why person X deserves this fellowship. Now, the 5th iteration of this became, through the PhD program, I wanted to gain insight into motor control, biomechanics, and neuroscience, and as such, I strived to be co-advised by Dr. A and Dr. B, who are experts in these fields. Now, this language sounds a little more actionable. It shows that the applicant had a goal. This is what the applicant wanted to gain information on. So this person sought out these 2 experts to help him or her really attain their goal. So these are just a couple examples. Please do not copy and paste these into your essays. This is just guidance. This isn't the end-all be-all of essay writing, but it's just a couple things that I pushed together that I think can be potentially helpful to you when you're writing your statement of purpose or even your research proposal for your applications for funding. So I hope this was useful in some way, and do enjoy the rest of your day.